Good evening, everyone. Duke Forrest here, aka Richard Copperthwaite. Thanks for joining us for another weekly edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. Very, very happy to have Mr. Nick Mumley on alongside tonight. Nick, good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Richard.
Nighthawk is off tonight. I was actually hoping for some rain. We could actually use some rain. Sounds like we may get some rain tomorrow. But I called our old friend, Mr. Dave Handy, today and said, Dave, if you get a rain out on the golf course today, come in. So if perchance it starts raining hard in the next half hour, perhaps Mr. Handy would give us a cameo appearance. But again, I don't mean to wish rain on the golfers. Anyway, and also a programming note, a week from today, of course, is July 4th, Nick, and we will not make you or anybody of the staff will be off, I trust, for the holiday. So no show next week, of course, on Wednesday, July 4th. No sports show, and that would also be the date for the monthly St. Albans Today show, and we'll be taking that off as well, of course, with the holidays. So no St. Albans Today show in July. I believe the next show, first Wednesday in August, I think that might be August 1st. But the sports show will be back 2 weeks from tonight. Just wanted to mention, I was just down catching a little bit of the concert on Taylor Park. Nobby Reid playing, nice, good crowd down there. So one of my old friends, Butch Patch, one of my oldest Franklin County friends, and got some tough news. And I'll talk about it a little bit, but just one of my oldest Vermont friends, Franklin County friends, Norman Tatro, died this morning, had some serious health issues. I want to quickly mention Norman, I don't believe is any kin to Rick Tatro and the St. Albans Tatro clan.
Yeah.
But if I think Leonard Parent's playing golf, well, Leonard would knew Norman well, so just some tough news. Norman was living with his son out in Wolcott, and just Norman and I go back, not that I had seen him much, but used to play golf with him, go back about 45 years or so. But anyways, so certainly condolences to his family and kids and stuff. He was a very, very good guy. Anyway. So, boy, a lot of sports. Is there an obvious, of course, Nighthawk's on top of stuff. I've got tons of notes. Is there an obvious lead sports story, would you say?
Well, I mean, the summer's just rolling right along. Red Sox baseball is really getting going. The Sox are playing against the Angels tonight.
Are they officially? I know it's the Los Angeles. Is it the Los Angeles Angels at Anaheim officially, or is it just the LA Angels?
I believe it's just the LA Angels now. It used to be.
I keep looking for it. It used to be a ridiculously convoluted name.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically the Angels.
Angels are a good team. They're kind of in that playoff hunt, and kind of in there, kind of not. Of course, Shohei Ohtani is their big pitcher, who's
and the word on him was he actually may make it back at least hitting wise as a designated hitter later in the season. Didn't he just do Tommy John?
I'm not sure if he actually ever got the Tommy John. They said he was going to need it to keep pitching. Yeah. But he hits so well. Why make him take it when they can still have him hit?
He didn't do the Tommy John, and they're just going to let him hit and maybe deal with that later.
Yeah, it's very possible that's where they could go, and it makes sense for the Angels because they need help anywhere they can get right now because the American League race is so tight. So I think that could really be a big help for the Angels if they can keep him in the lineup at least.
He's been hitting well.
Yeah, he's been hitting in the 280s. He's got a few home runs. So I mean, for a pitcher, it's unprecedented for any pitcher these days. So I think that if they can keep him around, they might have a better shot than people kind of thought they would when when the original news that Ohtani was going to be out came out. So.
And they were talking Tommy John surgery. I'm not dreaming that, right?
Yeah, no. There was Tim Kurkjian, I believe, from ESPN said this guy's done for this year and next year too, because of the Tommy John. And so maybe the Angels are going to say, hey, you did well as a pitcher, but
don't worry about the pitching.
Don't worry about that anymore.
Don't want to lose you as a hitter.
Yeah. They just might want to use him as a hitter, and that'd be unfortunate. But if he's going to be out for so long with an injury, that might be the best way of going about it.
Interesting. So game 2 of the Angels at Red Sox here. Boy, the Red Sox tend to beat up on the Angels. They certainly did last night. 9-1, and David Price, not my favorite guy in the world, but David continues to pitch very well for the Sox. That's all I care about. Keep pitching well. 4 homers last night, but Mookie Betts, first pitch of the game?
Yep.
Knocked it out to right field into the, Red Sox bullpen?
Yep. Jackie Bradley Jr. had a good game as well.
Second straight 3-hit game, I think.
Yep. So he might be figuring it out, and what a good time for him to do that, too.
I just get the sense. It just seems like he's such a streaky hitter. But
but
hey, it's nice to get some good streaks.
It might be an omen for the Red Sox right now because you look at July 31st is coming up really quick.
Yeah.
He's been rumored to be on the move.
Yeah.
If he has a good month or two here, the Red Sox might be in a position where they can get a lot more than they would have a month ago from him. So that could really help the Red Sox if he can stay hot.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. Just want to mention our call-in number, 528-5315. Love to get some calls. We haven't had a lot of calls. Of course, we're in our new time. Caller Bobby is usually more than good enough to check in, but love to hear from some folks out there. Again, 528-5315 is our number. So the Red Sox picking up one Brandon Phillips, Nick.
Yeah, Brandon Phillips.
A name that's only vaguely familiar to me. So what can you tell me about Brandon Phillips?
Well, I mean, he's been in the major league since 2002.
Long time.
He's been around forever. He's 36 years old, about to be 37.
Yeah.
And
he was one of the free agents, one of the hundreds of free agents.
Yeah.
And one of the ones who nobody picked up.
Yeah, he was one of the casualties from the whole holdout thing that JD Martinez was a part of, where the teams pretty much colluded to try to get player contracts down, which I think they probably are going to successfully do if they keep it up.
Yeah, talk to Bryce Harper about
that. Right. And look at JD Martinez. He's still got a pretty good contract.
5 years, 110, but given his production, you would have thought it would have been 50% more than that.
And he didn't get it until almost spring training as well, so that made a big deal as well. So Phillips, he hasn't played. He played last year with the Angels, and he hit over 280. He had 13 home runs, 60 RBIs.
Now, was that a case that he turned down, that someone did offer him a contract and he turned it down, thinking he'd get a better deal?
I believe nobody. I'm pretty sure nobody went after him simply because he's 36.
Gotcha.
So, he's at the end of his career. In his heyday, I mean, he was one of the fastest second basemen in the league. He could run. He's a great defensive second baseman.
Is that right? A good defensive second baseman?
Yeah, he's never really. He has over 200 home runs in his career, but he's never really been a big hitter. He's always been more about his defense, but that's what the Red Sox need right now.
Absolutely,
is
with
defense.
Dustin Pedroia, I'm not even sure we even see him again this season, any season. Who knows?
Yeah, Pedroia is just such a question mark right
nobody's
now.
Even talking about it.
Yeah, and they need that upgrade from Holt and Nunez at second, and maybe even Devers at third. Devers has kind of turned it around recently, but. His defense is still lacking a little bit, so maybe Phillips is a guy that can come in and kind of work with him a little bit.
Can Phillips play third base also?
They said, Red Sox, Dombrowski said they're bringing him in as a third baseman, which kind of surprised me because...
As a third baseman? How about as a second baseman?
Right. He should play. He should play anyway.
Nunez is better, or maybe best position is third base, correct?
Yeah, Nunez
Seems like
can
the
play
obvious
third.
thing would be to let Nunez play some third.
Right.
Have Phillips play second?
Yeah, so, you never know what they're going to end up doing with him. They said they're going to send him down to Florida for a couple of weeks to get him in playing shape, and then he'll be off to AAA. And Dombrowski said the plan is to use him in the major leagues probably within a month or two. Yeah. So,
they're going to use him. I'd like to think they would see him in a month or so.
Right. That would be the goal if everything goes well. But yeah, he has. I think there's some potential for this could be a really good signing that kind of goes under the radar right now, but it could really pay off at the end of the year if he puts up the same kind of numbers he did last year. Maybe even if he finds his old self.
Even if he just plays some good defense.
Right. And that's what the Sox need in the infield. So.
What are they paying this? Did you hear any money?
I did not hear money. It's a minor league contract, so it's not going to be more. It's not going to be anywhere close to $1 million.
Really?
I would assume it's like 1 year, $500K. That's usually what those minor league contracts go for.
So basically, nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. There's no risk for him at all. Worst case scenario, you bring him up to the majors, he doesn't perform for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you DFA him. So there's no risk for him at all. And it's a great signing by Dombrowski when everybody's telling him, they're saying, hey, go trade for Adrian Beltre, go trade for Manny Machado, move Rafael Devers. This is a good move that has no risk at all. You don't have to worry about Devers because Phillips can come in, they can maybe split time. Phillips can be a mentor to him. You know, this is just a great signing by Dave Dombrowski here.
I mean, trading Devers or something. And there has been some talk about that.
Right. There's been so much talk
totally
about it.
insane to me.
It's crazy.
You get someone. Of course, if Nighthawk were here, he might be saying, "Hey, Duke, Nick, you know, do what you can. You know, you got to go all out to win a World Series this season." I just don't quite see things that way.
I was thinking about that today.
You know, you have to balance things, but I'm not going to throw away a Devers if I'm just getting a player for. And today is actually literally the, I think, halfway point. I think today's the Red Sox 81st game, I think.
Yeah. And I was thinking about it today, and you know, Devers is under team control until 2024. Really? That's when he reaches his free agent year. He barely has a year of MLB experience. I mean, it'd be absolutely crazy to get rid of this guy, especially with their salary problems that they've got right now. They're paying so many players so much money. You have Devers, who's literally in a perfect situation. This guy's under team control until 2024. I mean, they'd be crazy to make him.
They were even hearing any talk about it. About him is mind-blowing.
Yeah, and you know, the American League is so tight. You got the Indians, you got the Astros, you've got the New York Yankees. The Red Sox really, even if they make a couple of big moves, they've got a probably 1 in 4 shot of even making the World Series, even getting out of the American League. So, you know, why risk everything for something for a 25% chance of getting to the World Series in a year where it's so tight. So I don't think that I think moving Devers would be the worst possible situation for the Red Sox. It's the worst thing they could do, and I really don't think that Dombrowski will do that. I think he sees what's going on in the future here.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, I'd hate to think he would even seriously think about it.
Right. Yeah.
And again, boy, Yankees continue to play very good ball, as do the Red Sox. Again, I still give the edges I have all season a bit of an edge to the Yankees. Mr. Severino's doing pretty well. But anyway, and plus the Red Sox certainly look like a lock to make the playoffs. But if it's the playoff game, I mean, good luck. You know, flip a coin pretty much.
And you know, it helps that the Red Sox have Chris Sale, even though he hasn't been the best playoff pitcher. You know, maybe they can get something out of him there. And I think that's ultimately what is going to give. I think the Red Sox have the advantage. Not just because I'm a Red Sox fan. I think the Red Sox have the advantage going into the postseason because they've got the better pitching in the American League East. Now, once they face Houston, I think that's a different story, simply because Houston has probably one of the best starting rotations ever assembled in baseball. But right now, the Red Sox, they're in a good spot where they've got good pitching. They've got 3-4 really good pitchers, and Stephen Wright went down the other day. But
that's concerning.
Yeah,
and again,
and
an injury to his surgically repaired leg, or whatever.
They said that injury sounds serious, which isn't good. But you know, right now they've got Sale, Price, and Porcello. They're all pitching well. 3
pitchers who are pitching very well.
Yeah, and you need those 3 really good pitchers once it come playoff time. And you know, I think that will at least get them to the ALCS. But you know, if you have to face the Astros there, the Astros then have 5 really good starting pitchers, and that might become a problem because that just opens up so many different doors from a managerial perspective. You can throw these starters into the game late innings in the World Series and have it work out just fine because you don't have to worry about rest. So
you definitely give the Red Sox an edge in starting pitching.
I think
after Severino, there's
quite a drop off for the Yankees. There's Tanaka, who just is not the player the Yankees thought they were getting. He's a serviceable pitcher. I'm not saying that he's terrible, but
Sonny Gray's been.
Sonny Gray is on and off. You never know what you're going to get from him. CC Sabathia is the same thing. He's over the hill. So,
although he's certainly coming off a decent season.
Yeah, he's good, but he's nowhere near the CC Sabathia he was 5-10 years ago. So I mean, the Yankees don't have anything. They have Severino, and that's the only person who's on the same level as Porcello and Price and Sale. So you know, Sonny Gray I think might be close to that level, but the Red Sox I think definitely have the upper hand in starting pitching. If they could get that bullpen to get hot though and stay hot, that'll be a different story. I think they'll be.
The bullpen's been pretty good. It's had a few rough outings. It was good to see old friend Brandon Workman last night.
Right. Yeah.
Who in his first year ended up pitching some good ball in the World Series.
Yeah.
And ran into injuries and stuff. But I like Workman.
Yeah, he's been good.
Interesting. And I heard a stat, I think, on your the folks you're interning with, the Huddle folks. I think that's where I heard that stat. Buster Olney was on today.
Yeah.
Always good to hear the Randolph Center, Vermont native son. But the reference, I think, from Buster was the first time, I think he said since 1902 or something, that there are 3 teams this late in the season at the halfway point with winning percentages over, what, 650 or so, i.e. the Yanks, Red Sox, and Houston. 3 teams that are just, playing just incredibly good ball.
Right.
And we talked last week about just a bunch of teams are just out of it and stuff. Not American League especially.
Yeah.
I mean, American League is just...
it's been crazy to see how everybody is just... There's such a difference. You've got, like I said, the Astros, Red Sox, Yankees, and then you got the Indians and the Angels and Seattle that are kind of in between. They're probably going to be in a race for those last playoff spots.
And that's about it.
And then that's it. You have a drop off. There's nobody else. I mean, you look at Toronto. Toronto's bad. Baltimore's one of the worst baseball teams we've seen in the last
Detroit's
10, 15
probably
years.
Given the talent, or not a ton of talent, not doing a bad job.
Detroit's not doing bad, but
doesn't look like any threat for postseason.
They're not going to make the playoffs. The Royals are awful. Minnesota's not the team that people expected them to be this year. And you go out west, Texas is bad. Oakland is bad. So I mean, there's literally just nothing going on behind 4 or 5 really good teams. Then you've got 5 or 10 of the worst teams in baseball right behind those guys. So it's been interesting to see that go on so far.
Yeah, no, Red Sox are hanging up again. I'm obviously a fellow Red Sox fan here. I'm always a little concerned about the team, but they're hanging in pretty well. Just a Stephen Wright injury, although he was coming off a horrible game, but I'm used to that with knuckleballers. Every once in a while they do get hammered. Why he was left in for as long enough to allow 10 runs and 2 3-run homers by Mr. Cruz at Seattle, that was a rather pain, but of course they ended up winning the game. He didn't even get the loss.
Yeah.
I got a little discouraged. They were down 10-5, I think.
Yeah.
And I think I got a little discouraged. And when I flipped it back on, I saw a 14-10 score, and I just assumed that was Seattle. But hey, I was wrong.
Yeah, that was one of the most.
Win.
That was probably the craziest game of the year.
That was, I guess, last
far
Friday night at Fenway. My good friend, Mr. Nick Haddon was there.
Yep. Yeah, there was. That was one of the craziest games that I've ever.
Did you watch that game?
I watched the majority of it. Yeah. And it looked early on like the Red Sox were
but
done.
Even the first inning, Seattle gets up 5-0, and the Red Sox get 4, or vice versa. 9 runs in the first inning.
It's crazy because you looked at the starting pitchers in that game. Stephen Wright had an ERA under 1.25, and the other guy, I can't remember his name on Seattle.
I can't quite remember his name.
But he, Wade LeBlanc, I think. He also had an ERA under like 2.50, I think.
Pitched a great game earlier against the Red Sox.
He threw a great game against the Sox. So I was looking at the game and I was like, oh, this is going to be a really quick, low-scoring game because you got 2 really good pitchers going up against each other. And boy, was I wrong there. I mean, geez, just 14-10 is one of the craziest scores we've seen all season.
A great football score.
Yeah, anyway. That's a snowball game in football.
Seattle won Saturday. Paxton was pitching, a tough pitcher for Seattle. Red Sox hit well, but I guess the bullpen did screw up. I didn't see or hear the Saturday night game, I guess. But then they came back, and Chris Sale. I feel so bad for Chris Sale. Talk about a competitor who's had a great year, and all he has to show is a 7-4 record.
Right.
Just with, as I've mentioned, just a ton of no decisions and 1 or 2 1-0 losses. But I was glad to see him get the win Sunday. Strong again, 7 innings, 13 strikeouts, maybe 4 hits allowed.
Yeah,
Nice
Sale's
to see him get at least his
7th
win.
Yeah, so they've got stuff to.
And I guess Mr. Porcello, I believe, going.
Porcello's on the hill tonight. Yeah, and he's. He's got a good. He's 9-3 with 3.50 ERA.
Coming off his horrible year, he just seems to go.
1 year after being a Cy Young winner, he went out, had a terrible year. Now he's back. He's having a good year. 3.44 ERA. So he's been just fine this year. So. I mean, the Red Sox are in a spot where they've got a good pitcher going tonight. They're coming off of a big win yesterday. Yeah. So, I think that they're going to be able to – you'd think that they would come out and have a good one.
That'd be nice because tomorrow night, I guess you're talking about maybe Brian Johnson getting a start. I mean, they're kind of down tomorrow night without Pomerantz or Wright around. So Brian Johnson's had a start or two, a couple decent starts, and he's done some long relief.
Yeah.
But I guess he may get the start. They brought up one of their guys from AAA, Galen Beeks. I might be a little off on
Jalen Beeks. Yeah.
Anyway, who didn't look that bad. Had a horrible first inning.
Yeah, and then
his stats weren't quite as bad as it looked,
yeah.
but lefty. I'm always intrigued. I'll always give a lefty a few chances. So
right.
We'll see what they do about the injury situation.
Yeah.
I guess Pomerantz. I'm hearing a little noise that Pomerantz may resurface at some point. Although I haven't really heard much about him either.
I don't know. Drew Pomerantz.
And after last year, he and Porcello are kind of flipping around. Pomerantz out of the blue has a great year last year when Porcello's down. Now Pomerantz may be gone or just having a tough year, and Porcello comes back. So it's funny how these guys kind of bounce around a little bit.
Yeah.
So what about the Hanley Ramirez story? That was pretty weird.
That was.
I mean,
wild.
I feel a little bad for Hanley.
Right.
The person who came out with the report, you may well know more about this than myself. It's a name I recognize. Michelle McPhee.
Yep.
Working for ABC News out of Boston. I don't even, but I know her a little bit because she used to write for the Boston Herald.
Yep.
And she used to sub for Howie Carr. Howie's late afternoon.
Yeah.
Pretty conservative lady, which is fine, but kind of loved getting into cop stories and stuff. But I know the name. She always seemed a little crazy to me.
Right.
But she comes out and she, of course, they were unidentified. She didn't nail down her sources, or she just said, unconfirmed sources.
Yeah.
But just so her line was what? Hanley's under investigation, some kind of a drug investigation at the federal level, but a very skimpy story. But everybody else, of course, picks up on this.
Yeah.
I know the Globe story was careful how they didn't mention her. They just said reports that Hanley is allegedly under investigation, but it seemed like there was nothing to this story.
Yeah.
I mean, has anything more come out about this?
Well, what ended up
Of course, the Red Sox
happening,
end up denying, saying, "Oh, we let Hanley go as a baseball decision, nothing to do with this alleged investigation."
Right. Well, from my understanding, what ended up happening was Hanley Ramirez had nothing to do with this at all.
Yeah.
It was his friend who got caught and then used his name to avoid going to jail. He said he was Hanley Ramirez. Yeah.
Oh, he said he was Hanley Ramirez.
Yeah, and then he said it. Yeah, this is Hanley's car. This is everything that's in his car is his.
And this was total. Total bull, apparently.
Yeah. And he then FaceTimed Hanley Ramirez with his phone, and that's where the whole thing kind of came from. Is that all right? So this guy's saying it's Hanley's car. This guy's FaceTiming Hanley Ramirez, and the guy's picking up. So I guess he's kind of involved. Then they realized that the guy was lying about the whole thing. He was actually a different guy. Hanley Ramirez had nothing to do with it. It was just one of his friends that was involved. So it was just a bunch of it.
And
the
so
report
it just shows
kind
you,
of
I don't deal with
was,
social media, which I've told you, being the dinosaur I am, but just anything like that, if anything gets reported, good luck, right? I mean, it's all over the place, and I'm sure a lot of people not, leave out the word alleged. So sorry, Hanley, sounds like you got some bad ink for absolutely no good reason. Meanwhile, it sounds like Hanley's kind of sitting back, having a good summer wherever he is. And sounds like he just isn't interested in playing baseball. I guess from a money point of view, why go out and run around and work up a sweat for another couple $100,000 or something?
Right.
But wasn't it kind of the expectation wasn't it, that somebody would grab him? Looks like it's not happening, or not yet anyway.
What looks to be happening is Hanley Ramirez just doesn't have any interest in playing. Yeah, I'm sure he's gotten some calls from teams. There's no way he hasn't. Yeah. And it'd be my best bet that he's just saying, "No, I'm going to lay low for this year, and maybe I'll just call it quits after this." Yeah. So
money presumably isn't an issue.
No, I'm sure he'll be just fine.
Hopefully
especially
live
getting
on
the big
$20 million, even if he spent every other cent he had spent before this season.
Right. Yeah, I think he will be just fine. I don't blame him. If I was in his spot, why go from making $20 million a year to $500,000 and have to get move all over again, get reacquainted, and at this point in his career, longevity is kind of in question. Yeah. If he goes somewhere, he might have 2, maybe 3 years in a best case scenario where he's still a good major league player. Yeah. And so at that point, is it worth it to uproot everything that you've got and go to a different city, maybe across the country, and just fight for your career, and maybe even make it. He runs the risk of just making a fool out of himself, trying to be a good major league player when he's over the hill. Whenever that comes. So it makes sense. He went out without a big problem.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that cold month there.
He had a good month of May, and then good month of April, and then faded out in May.
That no way tarnishes his legacy at all.
No,
I mean,
I agree.
it's not like he went out for 2 years and just sat the bench and hit 100.
Yeah.
So
and it's not like he needs to come back and. If he could hit 50 more homers, might have a shot at the Hall of Fame. We're not talking about anything like that.
Right.
So.
He's got nothing left to prove. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hanley Ramirez just called it quits and we didn't see him on a major league field again.
Ever again.
I think that he's probably, unless he's the only thing that could really help him out at this point is if he just has that competitive drive in him, saying, I can't. I just love the game of baseball so much. I want to come back. I don't care if I'm a 150 hitter. I don't care if I'm playing once a week and sitting the bench the rest of the games. I don't care if I'm in AAA.
Yeah.
I
don't think.
I just don't think that's Hanley Ramirez. Yeah, I think he did his time in the leagues, in the major leagues. He had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
He was a successful player.
Yeah.
He can go out on top now. So I don't blame him for not wanting to play right now, if that is indeed the case.
Yeah. Let's flip over to some hockey. In fact, I blew it. Of course, big news. Martin St. Louis, no stranger to folks who pay attention to sports in Vermont, the former UVM star, and kudos to Martin. Again, an invite to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I blew it, Nick. I told you off here, I've got a John LeClaire Foundation shirt. I wanted to wear a hockey-related shirt. It dawned on me about 5 minutes before airtime that I actually came across at a yard sale a Martin St. Louis shirt with maybe his foundation or something. So anyway, maybe I'll wear that again. But kudos. I know Martin used to have a place in South Burlington. I don't know if he still has his Vermont connection, but someone with a pretty good Vermont connection and an outstanding pro career. I've got the Free Press Associated Press story in front of me. Again, I love kind of obscure stats, and here's one. St. Louis is just the 6th undrafted player in league history with 1,000 plus points.
Wow.
Pretty impressive record. 1,033 points in 1,134 regular season games over 17 seasons. Of course, won the Cup with Tampa Bay in 2004, won an Olympic gold medal with Canada in 2014. I guess his last stop was Rangers for a year or two.
Yeah, he was with New York for a few years. It helped them out on their run to the Cup Finals in 2014. Yeah, 2014. And then the Rangers he was going to leave for somebody else on in free agency. He was actually rumored to go to Boston, but then
there were some rumors about Boston.
But then he just chose to retire, which once again makes sense. Similar case to Hanley Ramirez. What else did he have to prove?
Nothing. So, outstanding. Again, this is from the same story in the Free Press. St. Louis career at a glance. Here are a few key stats or moments from Martin St. Louis' hockey career. Led UVM in scoring in all 4 of his seasons, finishing with a program best 267 career points, 91 goals, 176 assists. Along with former UVM teammate Eric Perrin, St. Louis helped Tampa Bay win the franchise's lone Stanley Cup in a thrilling 7-game series against Calgary. St. Louis's old squad. St. Louis was the first player since Wayne Gretzky in 1987 to win the league MVP, Ross, and Stanley Cup in the same season. Retired at the age of 40 in 2015 after 16 seasons. And again, 391 goals, 642 assists in 1,134 games, just about a point a game.
Yeah.
Wow, what a career.
Right. I mean, you don't get any better than that. Especially for a guy of his size. I mean, he's not a
5'8" and 5'8".
5'8".
Boy, these days, I'm not even sure would people even look at you if you were that small today. I'm not sure they would.
I mean,
I guess they would.
Yeah, the people it's actually trending more towards him. I mean, the bigger guys.
Are they getting away from bigger guys?
Yeah, the bigger guys just don't exist anymore. You have to be a super fast skater.
I guess speed's a big thing.
The players these days, I mean. Players from 10 years ago, the superstars from 10 years ago would be average players in the NHL today simply because there's kids coming out that are the same size. You don't have to pick between size or speed in the NHL anymore. You can get a mixture of both with a lot of guys. So I mean, you're getting guys that are coming out 225, 230 pounds that can skate just as fast as St. Louis could. So it's been crazy to see this kind of wash over the NHL in the last 5 or so years, where speed has just become such a big factor. And the Bruins have kind of gone that way too with Bruce Cassidy as their coach. Under Claude Julien, they were all about defense and all about.
He definitely loosened things up with good results.
Yeah, and now Cassidy's come in. Now it's all about these small, young, fast skaters that these guys are 20 to 25 years old, and they're taking the city by storm, and they've come out and had a couple of really good years. So the rebuild has really been accelerated because Boston's been able to take advantage of the league changing to youth and speed and talent. So,
well, it wouldn't hurt, and of course they're making some noise about John Tavares.
Right.
They've got plenty of company out there. I'm not sure chances are very good, but that wouldn't be a bad idea. They could probably find a place for him to play. You think?
Well, they're saying word on the street is that John Tavares is the best free agent ever to come out in the NHL.
Best free agent ever.
Right, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, nobody's really come out like this. Remember Steven Stamkos a couple of years ago, but he ended up signing back with Tampa. But Tavares, it doesn't really look like he's going to go back to the Islanders, and who's to blame him? That's kind of a mess they've got down in Long Island right now.
Or Brooklyn, wherever they are.
Yeah, wherever
they're actually going back. I know it sounds like the Barclays Center is not a great hockey venue.
It's not, because
they're talking about going. They're not building another. They're not going back to Uniondale.
I believe that they want to. They want to go back to Uniondale. I know they're playing some games at the arena that they actually left a couple of years ago. The Nassau Coliseum.
Nassau County Coliseum in Commack, Long Island.
Right. And
they want to go build another arena out there or something?
The plan is to ultimately build a newer, nicer arena down there, simply
because Brooklyn just has them in a good fit, I guess.
Brooklyn's owners, the owner of the Barclays Center, they don't care about hockey. All they care about is the Brooklyn Nets and whatever college games they hold there.
Actually, good for them. They had the ACC tournament this year.
Yep, and
I think they may have it next year too.
They did. I thought they did really well with that. But I mean, they just clearly don't care about hockey. It's not a good venue for hockey, especially kind of in the same. I think it's too close to
hardly far away from Madison Square.
MSG, yeah. So like,
and they're old, and the fans on the island, especially if you're out on the island at all.
Right.
Sure, you got better things to do than fight your way into Brooklyn. The way.
Yeah, exactly. So. I mean, the Islanders, I think the move to Barclays Center simply because it was in the city rather than on Long Island was just a dumb decision to begin with, and the Islanders are starting to pay for it. So, I mean, they've got a new coach. They got they've got Barry Trotz, who left Washington.
Oh, is that? I didn't even note that.
He ended up signing with the Islanders.
So they had an opening, or did they fire their?
They fired their old coach. Former Islanders legend Doug Weight was their coach.
Oh, is that right?
And
I didn't catch that.
He was fired because they were just terrible. Yeah. And they brought in Barry Trotz. Wow. So you've got a Stanley Cup winning coach.
Who the Capitals incredibly let get away because under his contract he just was going to get a small.
Well, they
raise
tried
or something.
Yeah, they weren't going to give. Yeah, they weren't going to give him a Stanley Cup coach contract. They were going to give him.
See ya.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for him. So he's with the Islanders, and they also have a new GM this year, which is Lou Lamoriello. And
there's a legendary name in hockey.
Right.
The longtime New Jersey Devils guy.
He was with the Devils, and then he spent the last 5 or so years with the Leafs. Okay. And if you look at that,
brought them up, got them in a lot.
He got the Leafs back into the playoffs. He drafted Austin Matthews, drafted Mitch Marner, drafted. They have one other guy who's been really good on that team, Morgan Riley, on defense. So they've got. He's shown that he knows how to get the right guys into the system, and he's taken Toronto from basically where New York was a couple of years ago and made them into a playoff contender and a first-round exit this year, but it wasn't after a bad season.
No,
so. They had pretty much the same year as the Bruins, so they were in a good situation, and Lamoriello was ultimately let go for whatever reason.
He was let go?
I think it was in a agreement at the beginning of the contract that he was there to get the team back. They gave him a 5-year deal. You get 5 years to get the team back on track, and then we'll move you somewhere else. But ultimately, they didn't give him a new job internally. It might have been just because he wanted to be a GM still.
Yeah.
So
boy, so it sounds like the Islanders have done great.
He went to the Islanders, so the Islanders front office has really become one of the better front offices in hockey within the last month or so.
Wow.
So they could be on the rise, but I think the damage might be done already with Tavares.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like it'll take a while.
Yeah, because he's, Tavares is already 28, 29 years old, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, sounds right.
And he's got Dallas. He's looking at Toronto.
Looking at a bunch of
San
teams.
Jose. Boston. Boston was a team that I didn't expect to be on there at all. And then,
but if you're him, geez, as you say, an up and coming team with a lot of young talent, sounds like it might not be.
Yeah, there's plenty of places to go for Tavares. It looks like we have a caller.
We got a call there, Zach. I wasn't watching you. Hey, I think we have a call. Fire away, caller. Thanks for checking in. Hello.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Hey, thanks for checking in. Good to hear from you. We're good.
Just got in there. I imagine you guys went over baseball already. I don't.
Hey, talk.
We touched.
Bobby, talk.
Guys with going over it again, but
hey, talk whatever you want to talk about. We're happy to have you.
I was just curious what you guys think, both being Red Sox fans. Do you think the Red Sox are going to be making any moves around the All-Star break, like maybe another pitcher or bolster the bullpen or a utility player, or do you think they will stay pat and go on what they have?
I'll let Nick deal with that. Let me just say we did talk about, Nick and I are both aghast, if I can use that word, that the Red Sox would even consider unloading Rafael Devers or somebody like that for a half-season player. We think that'd be insane, but I'll let Nick answer Bobby's question.
Well,
what do you think, Nick? Any big moves?
That would be me that said that. I'm the insane guy.
Well, I think that the Red Sox are kind of in a situation where they could make moves. They don't necessarily need to because everything's working really great for them right now. If anything, I would like to see them pick up another infielder. I think that
second, yeah.
Right. You got to look at second base or third base right now. First base seems to be pretty good. Shortstop, obviously, with Bogarts is pretty
Although
much
injuries,
set.
you're always concerned, but boy, another regular utility infielder might be nice.
Right, and the Red Sox, you got to look at an upgrade because Nunez and Holt are only going to get you so far, especially if Pedroia comes back. And even if he does, Pedroia might only be at the level of those two as well. So if I'm the Red Sox right now, I'm targeting a second baseman above all else. And, I think that the number one guy you've got to be looking at to trade perhaps is Jalen Beeks, who's the pitcher that they just brought up. He's been kind of in some trade discussions the last couple of weeks. I think that he could be packaged together with a couple of lesser prospects to maybe get that utility guy. If I'm the Red Sox, not going after a big name. You don't need to pay the price for a big name. You're looking for the role players that are going to help you win the World Series in October.
What about JBJ? Would you, if there's somebody you want out there, is he someone you'd consider trading at the deadline, or do you not want to deal him?
Well, like I said earlier in the show,
and hopefully he stays hot for the next month.
He's been getting it together last week or so. Okay. If he can keep this up, how streaky of a player he is. Other major league teams might not be as aware of that. I'm sure they'll do their research, obviously, before making a trade. But the Red Sox, I think they know JBJ's history of being a streaky player, especially at the plate. His defense is above and beyond some of the best in baseball. There's the occasional mistake, but I think
he's very good.
I think that his defense is really something that you've got to think about. But at the same time, Mookie Betts could easily be a center fielder at Fenway Park. You can stick JD Martinez or Andrew Benintendi into right. And, the Red Sox, they have 4 outfielders right now. So JBJ would obviously be the one that you move right now because you aren't getting rid of any of those guys.
Let's hear it. Bobby, what do you think? What would you do? You're a fellow Red Sox guy. What would you do, if anything?
Well, yeah, Nick made a lot of good points, but let me ask him this question. Do you think we are good enough to win the World Series?
I think that there's five or six teams that are good enough to win the World Series right now. At the end of the day, when it comes to October and maybe even early November, I think that it's going to come down to just whoever has the best pitching, because that's what it seems to be. Whoever can really, I think the best manager is going to win it, and I think the best pitching staff is going to win it. If I had to place a bet right now, I would probably go with Houston again.
Not a bad bet.
But at the same time, I don't think there's any way of predicting it. Getting out of the American League even is going to be such a difficult task and such a crapshoot, because you've got so many good teams right there that are so even with each other.
And who gets the wild card game? Bobby,
right.
I think the Red Sox, I would say, I think they're good enough to win the World Series with 3 starting pitchers right now who are doing very well. But again, as I've said all season, I still think the Yanks are a little better team. I just still think the Red Sox, for what little it's worth, may come in second place and be in the wild card game.
The Yankees are missing as the number 2 pitcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a great number 1, and they have about 3 number 3 pitchers. You will probably see the Yankees go out and do a big move on a real good pitcher. They have the parts, the young players to trade away, and I think that's the only thing holding the Yankees back right now is the number 2 pitcher.
Yeah.
But getting back to the Red Sox in second base, I wouldn't waste my time on another utility one. We've got a team full of them. You've got to look at the Red Sox second base position. We have nobody there now. You can't. Pedroia won't be back. I mean, he
looks dubious.
He gave 30 years and 10 years. The guy played a brilliant second base.
Yeah.
He was dirty every night. He gave 110%, and his legs are gone. You don't come back from that. I'm a little upset with Nunez this year. He showed me a lot more the last month of baseball. Last year, I expected a lot more out of him. I mean, second base was for his to steal and run away with, and he hasn't done that. So I look at second base. We can probably get by with utilities, but in the future, near future, next year per se, I would like to see us fill that with a permanent.
Yeah, with
a permanent player. Yeah. Now I see today we must be a little desperate. We signed Brandon Phillips, which hasn't played since last year, and they want to give him some at bats in the minor leagues. I mean, he didn't have a terrible year last year.
Yeah, he got 280 hitter.
Again, this spring, as you well remember, the signings were not abundant this year. A lot of people were left out of baseball, and a lot of good players got paid $6 and $8 million. So, I'm sure the Red Sox got Phillips for next to nothing, probably minimum. And, the guy obviously still wants to play. So, throw him down there for a month and see what we can get out of him. The guy can still steal bases and hit and everything. So, I thought that was a win-win situation by the Sox. But, I like our pitching. My biggest surprise, not that he's pitching well, my surprise is that he's been healthy as Erod. The guy has been above and beyond the call of duty. I mean, to me, he's our number 2 pitcher. David Price is looking good to me, our number 3 pitcher. Porcello, our number 4 pitcher. And, if Pomerantz can come back in some shape or form, that would not be a bad number 5 pitcher. Our bullpen, Kimbrel, of course. Barnes has come on pretty good lately. I've liked his last few outings. So
he's had a decent season.
Yeah, so I guess my wish list would pick up another 7th, 8th inning pitcher from, a guy on another team out of contention. Maybe his contract is running out, but, bolster our bullpen a little bit. But I think if we stay healthy, that will be the key issue for us because, I do, believe we have what it takes. We're deep in pitching. Our hitting is there. We just keep on playing the way we're playing, I think we should be good. You know, we're as good as anybody and better than most. But again, it's Houston. We have to keep our team matched up to them, see what they're doing, and we have to be at least equal in those categories. I mean, it's a little hard with their starters to match tit for tat, but geez, our starters are awful good as well. And again, like I said before, their bullpen is their weakness on that team.
Yep.
And I'm just a little bit curious if they're going to be addressing that. So we'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, I like what I see with the Sox, and, you know, they're fun to watch and playing pretty good ball.
Yep, it's been a good season. Fun weekend, of course. Red Sox at the Yankees. I'm just checking the schedule, as you'd probably guess. Friday night, NESN game, Saturday night, Fox game, and then Sunday night, of course, ESPN game. So, yeah, it should be a fun weekend in New York. But
yeah, the Yankees, I read the other day, remember they traded, I believe they got Drury for third base this year, and he came down, I don't know if it was vertigo or he had some dizziness issues early in the year, and they DL'd him. And obviously, the third baseman the Yankees have playing now is entrenched in that position probably for the next 10 years. And their production out of the first base position hasn't been real good. And I've read where they're going to bring Drury up from the minors. You know, the guy, I think, 26, 27 years old. He is a good major league player. Yeah. And they're talking about putting him at first base. So, geez, there's another bat in their lineup, which is kind of scary, you know?
Yeah, and you make the good point that if they do make moves, they're in much better position to make moves in the Red Sox with a bunch of prospects and some of the guys he mentioned. Clint Frazier, he's back in the minors now too, right?
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, the Yankees are in a spot where...
Yeah, Bird came up, but Bird has been struggling.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Yankees, they have so much that they can kind of... They can dump off these guys that they don't really need at this point.
Yeah.
And the Major League Club wouldn't notice the difference of these guys being gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have the stuff in that... They have the players in that situation to go out and get a top-flight pitcher. You know, the caller said the Yankees need to go out and get a number 2 guy. I think they're in position to go out and get a second number 1 guy, the way they are right now. And if they do, I think they become the front runners in the American League battle. But I mean, right now, as it stands, I think their pitching is going to be their number 1 weakness that kind of holds them back from being able to make a deep playoff run.
And maybe gives the Red Sox the edge. Boy, they haven't been more than 2 games apart for whole season, pretty much.
Yeah.
Amazingly how tight they are with each other. But no, it's been a fun season. It's been a fun season.
I believe that was.
And David Price, I mentioned before. David Price, not my favorite guy, but no complaints about how he's been pitching. Another very solid effort.
No, and he's been very quiet this year, and that's what I like.
Really?
You know, just go out there, pitch.
My eyes have not.
Pitch, do your job, and you know everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been. We're exactly at the halfway point. I think. Red Sox are playing their 81st game tonight.
Yep. So
anyway, it's been fun. Bobby, anything else you want to throw at us?
No, I'll be leaving. I just for a second want Nick to rub the crystal ball and tell me who's going to win the Super Bowl this year.
The Super Bowl.
Looking way ahead.
Oh my goodness. I think Philly's going to be in position to repeat. I think.
Boy, repeat. That'd be impressive.
I think the Rams will be in contention.
Yeah, Rams are good. Rams are good.
The Giants will be better than people think.
You're not forgetting about my Patriots, I trust. Are you forgetting about my Patriots?
I think the Patriots will lose in the Super Bowl.
You think they'll make it to the Super Bowl?
I think they will again because there's nobody else in the AFC. But yeah, I would say probably if I had to make a prediction, I'm going to go with St. Louis simply because, or not St. Louis, LA, simply because they've got so much star power now.
Great team.
If Jared Goff comes around, like people are expecting him to, if he becomes half the player that Carson Wentz has become since their draft year, that's going to be a really, really scary team because they've got a great roster around him. So Sure, I'll go with the Rams right now.
Yeah,
but
boy,
don't hold me to that.
I agree with you on that. I'd love to see that, Nick.
Yeah, it would be a fun storyline to follow.
I brought up last year too. I've been a Ram fan for about 100 years now.
Really?
They went back to the Coliseum. They're there for a couple years. I don't think you were here, Duke and Nighthawk. They were here, but I watched a couple games, and that Coliseum looks so cool. You know,
yeah, it really
does. It does look like an old Coliseum, you know?
Yeah. Who could forget the Dodgers playing some early ball games in the Coliseum with, 250 down the left field line? Anyway.
A little closer.
Oh,
Mr. Handy, how we doing, Dave?
We're good. We're good.
I thought, did the rains in fact come?
It's raining now, but
I see you got your contract settled and you came back.
I'm just on loan.
I did give Dave a call today. I thought the rain might help us out, so I just thought I'd give him a little prompt. Dave, if it rains, we'd love to see you.
I was feeling bad. Richard said, "Well, I could be all alone."
No, I don't think I said no. I said I had Nick. I said Hawk wasn't here.
Oh, I was thinking that you were all alone.
Well, I hope if that's what got you here, I'm glad I said it. But I didn't say
perfect
that.
Anyway.
No, Nick's been turning in a outstanding
How's your golf game been
performance.
going?
I was in the toilet tonight. Really bad.
Well, there's always tomorrow. That's a good thing.
Yeah, you know what? Nobody really
Okay,
cares.
I'll let you guys go, and have a great night, guys.
Hey, thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks
We'll
for
see
calling
you.
in.
Oh no, I didn't mean to give you any misleading info there. I just told you Rick wasn't here.
Well, anyway, I'm glad
But
to be
I thought
here.
we'd have a chance. But you got your golf in?
I got the golf in, and I told the guys, I said, I'm heading straight over.
Well, sorry if we cost you dinner, but hey, good to see you. It's been a while. I got a bunch of cards. Don't forget, I got a bunch of stuff for you too. Anyway, so what's
Well, let's see.
Boy, we got a lot of ground to.
Well, let's see. We can talk about my Yankees. They've been doing pretty well.
Yeah, we've been talking some Yankees. Boy, Red Sox haven't the Sox and Yankees been not more than like 2 games apart for just about the whole season?
It's the Red Sox were ahead by 7 games.
No, sorry,
early
for a while, 2 games.
Well,
for
that
a
was
while.
when they started out.
No, when they won
17-2, and the Yankees were about 500.
I forgot that at the start of the season it was different.
I have a man that works for me, and he was beginning of the season. He was printing the World Series tickets in April, and I said, it's a long season
for the Yankees or for the Red Sox?
Oh, for the Red Sox. He goes, and you guys, you're really looking bad. And I said, well,
that's the last thing. That's the last thing I would ever do.
But but now, of course, I've been giving it back to him, and because we've been ahead by percentage points.
And in fact, a half game going into tonight, and before that, percentage points.
But
you have four. Boy, you do have a bunch of double headers down the road. That might not be the best thing
they
for you.
had a couple. I think they're only 3 or 4 games shy.
I think they're 4. I think the Red Sox have played 4 more.
But
more games,
they've been doing pretty well. The trouble is in the American League, you only have 3-4 good teams, anyways.
Yeah.
No, we've been talking. What a weird year. In fact, a stat that I think Buster Olney threw out today on the Huddle, a great radio show, in the afternoon, which I mentioned before. He threw out something like, for the first time since 1902, this is the first time since this late in the season, halfway through the season, that there are 3 teams with a winning percentage of .650 or more.
Yeah.
Red Sox, Yankees, and Houston, obviously.
Yeah, those are the 3 teams.
Talking 3 pretty good seasons here. Yeah. With a bunch of American League teams. Talking about being in the toilet, gone. Seasons are gone.
Well, the only teams that still have a little life that are surprisingly good, Tampa Bay has been.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's been
better.
Mariners having a decent
Mariners are better, but I don't see them hanging in there. And Detroit is actually quite a bit better.
Detroit's not playing, has had a decent season.
But even Cleveland isn't that good. What are they, like 7-8 games over 500?
Yeah.
Corey Kluber, 12, first, and then Severino tied him with 12 wins last night. But not a lot. We made the point a few times that, the Red Sox make a big move. The team that's in much better shape to make a move before the trading deadline, you're Yanks.
Well,
wouldn't you agree with a lot more prospects and stuff?
They do, and they're loaded. And if you think about it, they just sent Frazier back.
Wow.
Frazier was hitting .360.
I'm sure he was thrilled to go back to what Wilkes or
Wilkes-Barre, Scranton.
Scranton,
Yeah.
Wilkes-Barre.
And then they've got the International League Player of the Year in Drury,
Wow.
Yeah.
who's all better now. But because Andujar's been hitting, they
what
don't
do
have
you-
any place to stick him.
Yeah, you're gonna sit Andahar down.
No.
Yeah,
No
you
way.
can't do that.
And so then they've got 3-4 other guys, plus they get some pitchers. No, they're loaded. They've got an embarrassment of riches.
Right.
And
So what do you think? Do they make a pitching? I mean, you could certainly
well,
use
the
another-
guys they've called up have done all right. Germain or Germain, I think is how they say it.
Germain.
And then this other guy, Luizago or whatever his name is, he pitched really well. He had a no-hitter for 5 innings
Really?
against the Phillies 2 games ago.
Huh.
Yep.
I think if the deal is right, they'll want to pick up somebody who's really good. I wish there's been a lot of talk about them picking up DeGrom from the Mets,
Yeah.
but now that the Mets general manager is out,
Sandy Alderson's got some health issues.
he's
have
got
resurfaced, I
he's
guess.
got a recurrence of his cancer, and it looks like he's not coming back, even if he gets a clean bill of health.
So does that make it less likely the Mets would just do any kind of major stuff?
Well, who's going to take over? They've got about 4 or 5 guys. The Mets are
a mess?
they're a mess, and they're always a mess.
They have been for the last 20 years.
They have been for quite
Now you
a
know
while.
who they picked up this year in the front office is Omar Minaya,
Oh yeah,
former GM and former Red Sox first base coach a couple years
right.
ago.
That's right.
And they've got a couple other guys that are working things, but I don't see the Mets making a franchise-changing move because that DeGrom is a real deal.
Yeah.
So you take
They got
him out.
Syndergaard in there as well.
I don't know who the Yankees open the vault for. I mean, it's got to be somebody really, really good. They've been talking a little bit about Happ. Happ's a decent starter. You know what they might do is they may just get one more really good reliever and just go that way.
Yeah.
Because the starters today only go 4 or 5 innings anyway in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. But yeah, I mean, my argument to that is that the Yankees are in a spot where they have
I haven't touched that water. Can you reach that?
Thanks.
They have one really good ace in Severino who is just as good, if not better, than Chris Sale.
Right.
But then where they lack is the 2, 3, 4 guys. And sure, the rookies might be doing well, but you can't go into the postseason pitching Justice Sheffield and friends against Houston and Cleveland and Boston.
Who knows?
Right. You can't risk that. They need to go out and, like I said earlier, you need to go out and need to get another ace simply because you have the means to do so. You're so set up for the future that there's not enough room for everybody.
Well, I've been reading a lot, and one of the problems the Yankees have had is they've got too many guys, and they can only put so many guys on their 40-man roster.
Right.
And if they don't trade these guys, they're going to lose them in a Rule 5 draft.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they almost need to make some
they
trades.
have to have a little churn, just so that they get something for some of these players and don't lose them for nothing.
Yeah.
So pitching, isn't that what you would be most keen about getting?
I think
Dan?
so. I don't think they need any position players.
It
Yeah,
doesn't seem like
they
it, huh?
really don't. I mean, the outfield is just stacked. They've got Judge, they've got Stanton out there. They're lucky they're in the American League because they've got the designated hitter. They can throw in another offensive bat there. So, I mean, but if I'm the Yankees right now is the time to just, like you said, they've got these guys that they need to get rid of. Just package 3 or 4 good prospects and go and do that 2 or 3 times and just go get 3 really good players.
I think if they could get DeGrom,
Yeah.
they would put up a good package.
And what's his status? Why is he so available?
Because he's under contract for another 2-3 years, and
Yeah.
he's
Is
the
that
best
right?
pitcher in the National League.
Is that why you call him the best pitcher in the National
Even over
League?
Kershaw?
His ERA
Even
is
over
like
Scherzer?
under 2.
Boy, if Nighthawk.
Nighthawk
I would say
Not.
this year DeGrom is probably the
Really?
best pitcher in the National
Really?
League.
But anyway, one of the best
He doesn't
pitchers.
have much to show for it. Well, Kershaw has hardly been pitching.
Kershaw just came back a week or so ago.
Yeah.
And Scherzer's really good too.
Don't forget Scherzer.
And the Nationals have been kind of staggering a little bit too. They aren't really doing that great.
Red Sox deal with them after they leave New York. They got a couple 3 games in Washington.
I guess you are right. He's got the best WAR among pitchers in the NL, and he's got the best ERA among pitchers in the NL. So yeah, I mean, on paper, at first look, people would be like, maybe not.
And the Mets have nothing going, right?
The Mets would want somebody like Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is
the Yankees aren't going to give up Gleyber.
You can't do that, and that's going to be the problem with the Yankees try to go get these guys. Is that you can offer players to these teams, but they're going to be like, no, we want Andujar, we want Torres,
we want Judge, we want
and if the Yankees say no, these guys aren't available, the other team's going to hang up the phone. So
you'd still think they could get a decent body.
Oh, they definitely could.
It's going to be tough. Cole Hamels is out there too.
Right.
I'd take Cole Hamels.
But none of them. Look at Arrieta last night pitched. The Yankees pounded the crap out of him.
Yeah.
There aren't starting pitchers. There aren't that many good ones.
Yeah.
Right.
And
for the record, David Price, who I love to beat up, is putting together a pretty decent year at this point.
He's okay. I don't like Price. I
don't like him,
Sale.
but he's been pitching okay. Sales. I feel so bad for Sale. Sale, another great game Sunday, which brought his record, at the halfway point, 7-4. He keeps losing 1-0 games, having no decisions. Talk about a misleading record.
I tell my buddy, I go, well, maybe if you guys keep losing and you fall out of the playoffs, maybe you'll sell a Sale. And I said that maybe we could pick up Mookie Betts too.
Right.
Talk about two good. I love Sale. I love watching him there. Yeah.
Now who's starting to heat up for the Red Sox is Jackie Bradley.
Yeah. Although he's so streaky. I love to see him on the upside.
He is streaky.
Yeah, and I've been saying that what the Red Sox need to do is just pray that he can go on like this for the next month or so. Then July 31st comes along,
maybe
trade him at high value because people are going to try to catch the hot hand.
He is a really good outfielder.
Oh,
yeah, and that's the thing about him is you lose him, you lose a great defender.
200, I suppose I should kick him up. I mean, I heard somebody say the other day, if he could hit 255, he'd be fine. I'm going 255. If he could hit probably 225. I wouldn't be too unhappy.
Well,
just when he's down below the Mendoza line
all
year, you get a little concerned.
I read somewhere or listened to it on MLB that there are over 50 regulars, starters in MLB right now hitting below 200.
Over 50?
Over 50.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
guys like Chris Davis hitting 150.
Yeah, and I'd like to see what the average contract
that's
is
unreal.
for those guys as well.
You know what the problem is? There's a couple of issues.
And strikeout, you've been missing me all summer. Strikeouts are just
There's
killing
no
me.
action in the game.
It's killing me. The strikeouts are taking a toll on me.
They've got a couple of things they've got to fix. Number one is balls in play on the ground. 60 points. The guys that are their batting average is 60 points less than it was 3 years ago before the shifts.
Yeah.
These shifts are killing grounders.
Right.
Now I don't know what you do.
Or how about the player? I mean, doesn't that speak to the players? Hey, players, maybe throw down a few more bunts and get on first base without anybody challenging you.
Right.
Is that asking too much for the hitters?
How about hitting the ball the other way?
Well, really.
But they've been taught this whole new age exit velocity, launch angle stuff, and they would rather strike out because their chances of hitting a home run are better than hitting a grounder. But it's making the game very boring. It's either home run or nothing.
Right.
Now it's okay if you like the Yankees.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got guys.
Walker's
not even hitting 200.
Yeah.
Really? Well, JBJ we talked about, he's been below 200 all year.
Sanchez, who's considered a terrific all-around hitter, he's hitting 190-something.
Yeah.
There's good hitters on every team that aren't even hitting 200.
Yeah.
And
Well, just look at Bryce Harper, for example. He's
Yeah,
on
there
pace
was
for
another
200, yeah.
Like 220 or something?
In a contract year, too, for him, where he's supposed to be making all that money.
Yeah, forget
I don't think he's that good, and there's no way I would pay him $300-400 million.
Nighthawk,
Yeah,
I think,
no
has
way.
finally conceded, has brought him down a bit. Oh yeah, who's going to pay? Nobody's paying this guy 40.
No.
You're serious?
No, I think he'll be lucky to get he'll be lucky to get a $200 million contract.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He only has 59 hits in the entire
a
season.
bunch of like 20 homers or so.
Yep. 20 home runs, or 19 home runs,
And
46
hitting what,
RBIs.
219 or something?
219.
Wow.
Yeah,
With
that's
a
awful.
0.6 WAR,
Wow.
which is just
I don't
unheard of for a guy like
They,
him.
I think what the Yankees have shown. Oh, we got a caller.
It must be Mr. Handy must have gotten somebody excited out there. Go ahead, caller. Thanks for checking in.
Well, I was excited to see David return.
Hey, I told you.
Well,
Thanks, Dave, for getting us
I
a
got
second
about
call.
another 2 months of golf season.
I don't know where you've been.
Golfing,
Golfing.
Well, I don't mean today.
men's league.
Yeah, I know, but
Men's
you've
league's
been
every
gone several
Wednesday.
weeks, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been gone since middle of May.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But when golf gets over, I'll be back.
You will be back. The contract
Yes,
has you
absolutely.
coming back.
You're under that high money contract, aren't you?
I know it.
Listen, it's interesting to hear you talk about. I think some of the major league players are down. Stats show it all over the place. But you know what really bothers me, and has bothered me for a long, long time? We don't teach baseball anymore.
Really, who can bunt? You see some of these guys trying to bunt?
Yeah.
I
Oh, it's
was
awful.
at 10 years old, hey, I was a very good bunter. I was infinitely better than some of the major league players.
You
I'd
let the
say.
ball hit the bat. You don't flay away at it.
Really?
They,
You
Fitzy,
know, it's you deaden the ball. These kids don't deaden the ball.
Really?
They don't. I watched during the last 3 weeks at least 5 major league players dive back into first base or whatever, and go in on the inside of the back where a fielder would tag them out every time.
Huh.
Yeah.
You don't slide back in on the inside of the bag. We don't teach baseball anymore.
Not to mention all the folks doing head first slides, which drives
They're
me
nuts.
crazy, insane.
Ty Cobb, who was the best slider of all time, he had about 14 different slides.
think he liked to
None
have
of them head first.
Yeah.
I think he liked to have his cleats out ahead of him.
But even still, you know what, Fitzy? It's not just baseball. I'll tell you
Everything.
what. If you look at football, if you look at basketball,
Huh.
you look hockey. I think the guys in hockey are better than they've ever been. But
Yeah, hockey's good.
you look at those 3 sports right there. All of the fundamentals are all weak. There isn't a guy in the NBA that can shoot a 15-foot jumper.
Right.
88% of
Like
them.
in baseball, the coaches today are the ones that didn't learn the fundamentals themselves. How can they teach it?
Well, there's no emphasis placed on any of that stuff because you know what? You don't get paid on those stats.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
A guy. When was the last time you saw a guy? They were talking about this on the Yankee game the other day. The Yankees, the game they lost to Tampa, I guess had guys
Which
on
one of them?
The
Thank
Sunday
you.
had
Good
guys
point,
on first and second, 1 out or no outs, like 3 or 4 different times. Now one guy hit the ball to move, had a productive out even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't
No.
even move the runner over so that a guy could get him in with a sacrifice fly.
Yeah.
Fundamental baseball, David.
Yeah.
It's
Not there.
and I don't know why they don't. I know they because these guys are athletes. They're better athletes. They're in better shape. They're in better condition than they've ever been. But
That's true.
all they're taught is launch angle, home
Right.
run, exit velocity, crap.
It's horrible to see how many times an outfielder will miss a cutoff man.
Yeah, that
Terrible.
happens. Yeah.
I don't think they know who the cutoff man is half the time.
Yeah.
They
Whether it should be
can't
the first baseman or third base. They don't know.
They look at when they feel. Look at you know who's not really a very good fielder is Devers.
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 No, he's not. There are people who question whether he can. He's got a career at third base. No, he's not quite.
They look at the Yankees. Look at Sanchez. Look at how many pass balls the guy has.
Yeah, it's one of the worst catchers in the league.
And he's got a great arm.
Yeah.
But they just aren't teaching these guys how to play the game.
That's right. The fundamentals. My God, Chet Massa, who coached so many years at BFA, would roll over in his grave. That poor man. If he could see.
Yeah.
The lack of knowledge that some of these high school kids have, and even into the pros.
Yeah.
You did.
Fitzy, what you're talking about, I
it.
was listening to Joe Girardi the other day, and he was saying the same thing because he's been helping coach high school kids.
And he's your classic old school
He
fundamental
goes,
guy.
I can't believe it. They know nothing about fundamental baseball.
Really.
That's
It's
right.
terrible.
Nobody teaching it because they're not prepared. They don't have the talent to teach it. They didn't have that teaching either, these coaches.
No.
I look at some of these high school coaches and I say, where in the hell these guys come from? Looks like they never played Little League Baseball even. They don't teach the kids anything.
No.
I watched a game of a local high school here one day. I watched a right-handed hitter up, a good hitting kid from another high school, and the shortstop was standing behind the bag at second base. You got a right-handed hitter up, a pole hitter, and the shortstop is over behind second base.
And he couldn't pull the ball?
Nobody's moving him. Nobody's telling him to get back. Another time this year, I saw the right fielder play up against the wall with a right-handed hitter up. It makes no sense.
No.
And you would think these kids would know better, but why should they? They've never been taught.
No,
but that's not what the kids want to learn. I mean,
the
kids sign up to play baseball. They want to hit home runs and
Really?
make diving plays. I mean, you start teaching, you start spending entire practices on fundamentals. Kids are going to leave because it's just not.
Right.
It's not what they want to do.
The goal is to get to the top
Right.
and be
You
one of the
see
top
these-
10 highlights on ESPN.
The highlights have taken over, and that's all these kids see, and they're like, all right, I want to do that. I don't care where to slide on the base or where to be positioned for what hitter and
Fitzy,
where that guy goes.
Look at the NFL. Look at your team in the playoffs last year. If that guy had tackled that, if your cornerback had wrapped his arms around a guy, you'd have been in the Super Bowl.
Well, I was highly disappointed 10 minutes ago when the Minnesota Vikings weren't mentioned as being a potential Super Bowl. I was distraught, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, the Vikes are probably worth a mention.
They're
Nick, aren't
good,
they?
but they got to decide who their quarterback's going to be.
Don't get caught up with that last caller in the Rams. Don't be fooled by that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I came up with the Rams opinion by myself. He just agreed with me.
Rams are a good team.
Yeah.
Look like a good team.
I'm going to tell you, the sleeper team looked like the Giants. I love their new coach.
No.
I think I agree with you. I think the Giants are going to be better than
that
people think.
Saquon
you
Barkley.
think they've got Super Bowl potential?
They're sleepers, all right.
I think that they have the NFC is so strong. If they were in the AFC, I think that they could be a team that could get to the Super Bowl.
Of course, the Giants not
The Eagles are
on
gonna
the
be
news
tough.
for the best news the last couple of days.
Well, that guy, Janoris Jenkins,
So his brother, I guess, is being fingered for this?
Right.
it looks like it.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
Well, the thing is, though,
huddle
Fitzy,
there.
don't forget the Giants are going to play a last place schedule, too. So they're
Right.
going to play every week since
Yeah,
they're
that
out
helps.
there.
Yeah, that
They
helps.
need to.
I think they'll have a good. They'll be in the playoffs. This
I
year.
bet you
think
they
will.
I bet you they turn
But,
it around,
I mean-
and they've got a line and they've got a running back. They've got a runner for the first time in 5 or 6 years. I can carry the ball and get a couple yards once when you need
He's
it.
the best back they've had since Barber, I think.
Oh.
The only other guy that comes to
David,
mind is
wasn't
Ahmad
hot
Bradshaw.
on that
He
golf
wasn't
course
very
night, was it?
It wasn't too bad. It was very windy.
You seem to have a fever.
I don't have a fever.
The way you're talking about the Giants, you must have.
I think they're going to be a lot better.
good. They're going to surprise some people.
Yeah, they are. They're going to be better. But the Vikings, don't count them out, boys.
Well,
Yeah.
if they can teach
Good
those
team.
guys how to tackle, they might have a chance.
Good team.
If the
Good
Vikings
team.
can figure out who their quarterback's going to be, I think.
They've already figured that out.
And who's their quarterback?
Who's their
The
quarterback?
guy
gonna
from the
be?
Redskins.
Oh, Cousins?
Yeah, they paid
Yeah.
him big money.
Yeah, I
They
guess
paid
he's
him
the
big
guy.
bucks.
I don't know if he's a guy that can bring a team to the Super Bowl.
Of course, a lot of folks would have thought maybe Nick Foles wasn't someone who would play an incredibly
Right.
good Super Bowl game either.
Yeah, but
Cousins is a good quarterback.
Cousins is good.
Yeah, he's good.
I don't know. I think the Vikings will be the NFC playoff picture is a lot like the American League playoff picture right now. There's so many good teams. It's kind of it's kind of, as Dave knocks down everything in here. It's going to be kind of just pull a card, any card, for who's going to make it to the Super Bowl out of the NFC this year.
Now, gentlemen, make sure you watch the amateurs qualifying next Monday at Champlain.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, is it?
That's a qualifier for the amateur tournament.
Wow.
Huh.
Now, Brian Smith doesn't have to qualify because he's a past champion.
Good.
I haven't heard whether or not he's playing. I sure hope he does. But he doesn't have to qualify.
Yeah,
So
good.
he won't be up there this Monday. But they start at 9 o'clock, and there's about 35 entries, as I understand it right now.
Yeah. Thanks,
Not a
Vince.
big field.
Good info.
God bless them.
Yeah, I'm glad Champlain's got it, at least a qualifier again. Well, gentlemen, have a very good evening.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you
Good to
very
hear from you,
much.
Fitz. Good.
Glad
Thanks
to
for calling.
see you back, David.
Well, I'll make it whenever I can.
Okay, good. See ya.
Bye-bye.
We'll see ya. When we did, of course, talk about Mr. Martin St. Louis.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's good, cool news. Well, what a career! What a great career!
And
And I blew it, Dave. I remembered, hey, I'm going to wear a hockey shirt. I've got my John LeClaire Foundation shirt. And I'm talking to Nick a couple minutes before the air, said, you idiot, Richard Duke. I had actually found a Martin St. Louis shirt at a yard sale that I remembered 5 minutes before showtime.
Yeah.
I actually sold a car to Marty.
No, doesn't
Really?
he used to have a South Burlington presence? Does he still have a place there? do you know?
I'm not sure.
Sure, he did for some years, right?
I'll give you a good story.
You sold a car to him. Huh?
I sold him a car.
Give him a good deal?
Oh yeah, his agent called the garage, Louis Gross, who happened to be
Who was like
John LeClaire's agent.
Yeah.
So he calls up, and he wants to talk to me. And what had happened was, I think Mark McGinn had told him to call me up, and he goes, "Hi, this is Louis Gross," and I go, "Hi, I know you have been hearing about me in the men's league, but it's going to take 7 figures for me to quit my regular job to play hockey full time." He didn't even make a chuckle out of it.
Is that right? He got nothing out of that?
So anyways, they wanted me to give Marty a car, and then he would do commercials or something. And I said, well, I don't want to, with a liability on the license plate.
Commercials for you,
Yeah.
for you guys.
So anyways, what I ended up doing, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll sell him a halfway decent used car we've got, and I'll buy it back.
Huh.
I'll buy it back when he's done for what I sold it to him for.
Oh, yeah?
And
That's what happened?
so that's what we did. And he came up 3-4 times, and he was still banging around with Nova Scotia.
Huh.
And he was still with Calgary then.
Huh.
And what a great guy, what a really nice down-to-earth
Sounds
fellow.
like a great guy.
And I'll tell you what, when you saw him in the flesh, his legs were like, he was
Really?
short, but he wasn't little.
Yeah.
And arms like Popeye.
Really?
Yeah.
And but a real decent guy, and somebody that really got everything he deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a career. What an outstanding career.
Really good fella.
Yeah.
And good for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And since we've been talking about Eduardo Nunez and how bad he was, he must have been listening to us because he just hit a home run
Oh, really?
to dead center field, and the Red Sox are winning now.
Well,
is that
I'm
right?
going to tell you something. You got something. He might have been on the juice last year when
He played. He
He
was
played
playing
out of his head.
mind
He's
when
not,
they got him.
because the Yankees had him for years.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
He was like Jeter's backup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was
A
average at
250
best,
hitter,
yeah.
and you know what? He's not a very good fielder either.
No, he's terrible
not. He's
defensive
not a good fielder.
defender, yeah.
Now, what's up with Pedroia? Is he coming back? Or?
Boy, it doesn't.
wouldn't- I
I'm
wouldn't bet
not
on
reading
it,
or
no.
hearing much, but it sure doesn't. He's doing nothing right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's in a lot of pain. It
Yeah.
sounds very, very scary for Pedroia.
Yeah, wouldn't
Wouldn't you be
also-
surprised, Nick, if we saw him this season? Maybe
I would
any
be surprised.
season?
I would
we
be
saw him
surprised
again?
if we saw Dustin Pedroia
If we saw him
again,
ever
simply
again?
because he's so far up there in age.
Yeah.
He came back for 3 games. He got himself hurt all over again.
And you know, Pedroia, this must
I
be
don't
killed.
Yeah.
Just
It's got
killing
yeah,
him.
it's got to be. And I hate to see it happen to him because I mean,
Yeah.
like he has been the Jason Varitek of the last
Yeah,
decade.
that's a good comparison.
Well, I think he's just played so hard
Right.
and probably
Yeah.
through so many.
Yeah. At 35 years old, you'd kind of expect to see his body.
But
kind
this
of
season,
wear down like it
you
has,
just
so.
Well,
nobody's
plus he
even
doesn't
talking
play
about
a
him.
nice, easy
No.
Yeah.
game.
Hey.
He gives it everything he's got all the
Yep.
time.
Every play,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He always plays like it's gonna be his last game. But
Yeah.
Now
I
just
think we've
spent,
seen him play his last game.
I just spent the weekend down at Faneuil Hall
Oh, really?
in Boston. We, my kid.
Didn't take in any Red Sox games. So.
No, but I almost did. I almost did.
Yeah.
I had a kid that made this John Philip Sousa
Oh, wow.
band. It's
Really?
and
And
so
they
anyway,
played down
they
there?
played in Faneuil Hall
really?
on the second floor.
Wow. Oh, that's
Jeez.
great.
So
That's really cool.
we ended up staying at the hotel across the street from
Yeah.
Faneuil Hall, the Bostonian.
Wow.
And we had some time to kill on Saturday, so we took one of those trolley rides all through the city.
Not a trolley ride, not a duck
We
boat.
wanted to do a duck boat. Oh, we got another caller. We
Hey,
wanted to
all
do
right.
the duck boat, but they were all sold out.
Go ahead, caller. Thanks for calling. Fire away.
All right, gentlemen. I didn't know you had a new phone number. So I've been trying the last couple of weeks the old 6449 number. But
Is that
anyway,
not noted?
I'm at the clubhouse at
Noted on the
Champlain Country
screen.
Club after another successful night of golf by the many multitudes. And I've been asked by many here to ask Mr. Handy how he shot tonight.
Not very well.
He's
really
already-
bad.
He already acknowledged you didn't have a good night.
Yeah. They got you on TV here, Dave. You should wave to him. Wave to
Hello.
him because
I got 3 points out of 9.
there he goes. There he goes. They're waving back. They're
3
all
out of
waving
9.
back.
And Leonard, how'd you play?
I had a great night. I had 10 putts in 9
Wow.
holes.
Well, that's pretty good. I had
Yeah,
10
I had
putts
10
after
putts in
about
9
5
holes.
holes.
I had a lot of good shots, a few bad ones. I shot a 40, I don't hit it very long, so I had double bogey and had a 40, so that's good for me. I'm pleased.
Hey, that sounds like good golf to me.
Yeah, and I played a guy that hits it about 260, 270, and he had to give me some stroke, as he should have, and they entered into it, and I was victorious, as it turns out. So, but anyway, no, if the night off was there, I'd grind on his nationals, but I won't do that. And I just wanted to call up and say hi. And David, they were waving back to you here en masse, as they say.
Well,
Hey, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
Before you go, I got some bad news.
Yes.
Some bad news. I mentioned your
Really?
name before because this name would mean this is a friend of yours long ago. We lost Norman Tatro today.
Oh, that's too bad.
You remember Norman? It might have been a few years, but you
Oh,
certainly
from
remember
Sheldon.
Norman.
Sheldon Spring.
One of my earliest Franklin County friends. Yeah,
From
Norman.
Sheldon Spring.
Yeah.
I beat his father. Richard Drag Tatro, for my only club championship at Enosburg Country Club back in 1974.
Wow, yeah, great memory. A year before I moved to town, Norman was one of the first folks I met up here.
Oh yeah, had he been ill for a while?
Yeah, he had some real serious, obviously, health issues. Yeah,
Well, that's too bad. Sorry to hear that.
yeah. Anyway, hey, thanks.
Sorry to hear that.
Thanks for
We'll
calling.
let you know 'cause it's kind of noisy here.
Good to hear from you.
see you, Leonard.
Yeah. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Let me just mention Lake Monsters here back
Yep.
tomorrow night. Weather might be a problem, although it might dry up by tomorrow night's game. Hey, some good giveaways for the next 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. Some decent giveaways.
You've
A
got
Lake
the jersey
Monsters
coming up,
baseball
although.
cap tomorrow night,
Yep.
a pool towel the next night, and a Vermont Expos jersey the next night if you're into
Yeah.
giveaways. And they've got a July 3rd game. They're on the road for the 4th, but they have a noon start on Tuesday, July 3rd, if that is of use to somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Nick's already been down there. I haven't made it yet, but I'll get down there.
Yep.
So one game, or of course the double header kind
One
of.
and a half games, I believe,
Right.
because I was simply too tired to stay there. So
Hey, who did the Celtics draft?
Celtics, yeah, boy, it's Robert Williams. I'm glad you mentioned that. We hadn't gotten into that. I've got a mock draft here. Guess where they had, this is a Boston Herald mock draft. Guess where they had Robert Williams being drafted? How about number 14?
Yeah.
Celtics got him at 27.
Does he get some sort of
issues
issue?
a work ethic, but this guy's a jumper around the rim, rebounder, dunker and stuff. They can use this guy. Yeah. And I got to think Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge, I would think these guys could
straighten him out.
Sense.
Hopefully,
just sounds like just a work ethic issue.
And it's not a good sign so far for him.
Of course, he was late. He fell asleep when he was supposed to call.
He overslept through his first conference call as a member of the Boston Celtics.
But still, they got plenty of time. But this is just a quick blurb on him in the Herald. Robert Williams, Denver grabbed him at number 14. Williams is a relentless force on the glass who will instantly improve the defensive culture of whatever team he joins. So a potentially good pick.
Yeah. Now, what's all the scoop with LeBron? Is he going to stay in Cleveland or?
I doubt it. I think it's
Dan Patrick's one guy. And I heard him talk about today on his show, saying it's just my gut, no sources. But Dan Patrick's one guy who thinks he'll stay in Cleveland, but. Hey, who knows?
Cleveland has an opportunity to keep him simply because there's nowhere else really that's a perfect fit for him.
Of course, he might do. Of course, he could come back to Cleveland. I'll do one more year, and we'll see what the landscape looks like.
And I think that would be pretty much the only realistic situation with him there.
Although you keep hearing the Lakers, and he does have houses. He does have, I guess, a house or two out there.
The Lakers could be a potential destination, but if LeBron can't get Paul George to go with him, I don't think he'll go to LA. I think Houston could be a place, but I think by this time next week we'll know where LeBron's going.
Really?
I think he'll make the decision soon.
He can opt out on the 29th.
Yeah.
So we got to know pretty soon.
And that's
if he's going to opt out. And of course, the other thing is the money. Cleveland can pay a lot more than anybody else.
Yep.
Although you wonder if money.
I don't think money's a deal for.
I think potential championship would seem to be.
He's worried about his legacy and how many championships he's going to win and how he can go past Jordan in that whole debate. I think I think he doesn't talk about it.
Hey, LeBron, you're already there, buddy. You don't have to.
I think he's better than Michael Jordan.
I think that he's incredibly worried about how his legacy is viewed by people compared to Michael Jordan,
God,
even
how
though
could
he
be?
won't
What more is the guy supposed to do?
Right.
Jordan, I think, had better teams than what
Jordan.
LeBron.
I think this year cemented it for him because he took a team of nobodies to the NBA Finals.
Really?
Right. He still got back to the finals.
I think he likes that loud guy.
Had they not been so screwed in the first game, I'm not saying they would have won, but at least it might have been a reasonably 6-game series, maybe. That first game, that was the refs and his teammate just totally screwed that.
They need a little more horsepower, though. There was some talk, maybe the 76ers too, but
there's still a little talk about the Sixers. Although the thing they hear about that is Ben Simmons, Rookie of the Year. Congrats to him. Jason Tatum coming in third. You hear that a lot of people think LeBron and Ben Simmons wouldn't be a good match. That Simmons wouldn't be anyway. But you still hear some Philly talk.
And then, of course, business with Kawhi Leonard or whatever his name is.
Kawhi Leonard. God, I'm back with the Red Sox, not wanting to just ship out of Devers. I don't want the Red Sox. Yeah. I don't want the Celtics to do anything crazy to get this guy for a year.
Danny Ainge
I don't even like this talk.
I heard today Danny Ainge has put his offer on the table. And so has Philadelphia and one other team in the
Just
in the
afraid
East.
to know what this offer is.
They're gonna if they trade him, they're gonna go.
Sounds like the guy wants to go to the Lakers and
yeah.
stuff.
And that's the thing is that the Spurs aren't gonna trade him to the West, but he wants to be in LA. So you're gonna get Kawhi for 1 year. And
why is
it just would make no sense at this point to make any sort of deal.
1 year deals,
because you know that it's a 1 year.
Yeah,
it's a 1 year
he's out
deal.
of here. I don't even. I'm upset they're even
the Spurs
thinking about
the Spurs
it.
are going to want too much for him to begin with, as they should. They should ask for as much as they can for him, and they should get as much as they can. But
I hope Danny's usually pretty solid. I hope he doesn't do anything
I don't think
crazy
Danny Ainge. He's made an offer, but I just don't. I don't see Kawhi.
Right.
I really don't see him being traded, honestly. I think the most likely situation is for him to just say, I'm not going to play this year and still pretend that he's injured and stay with San Antonio because the Spurs are only going to get as much as they can for him. So
on that note, we got to run. Mr. Handy, great to see you.
Well, glad to be here.
Not to wish a lot of rain, but maybe we'll see you before the fall run rolls around. But we'll be back, I know, in a while. But thanks. Good to catch you for at least a cameo. Nick, great job.
Thank you.
Fine effort. Zach, thanks for doing all the hard work. I am Richard Cobrathwaite, Duke Forest, and again, no show next week. We'll take July 4th off. We'll see you in a couple. Thanks. See ya.